The chamber shuddered, and Vader felt it. A disturbance in the Force, subtle, yet unmistakable. He paused, his senses extending beyond the immediate threat. There was someone else here, a presence that tugged at the edges of his awareness. A Force wielder, powerful and elusive, and another whose presence was much smaller. Vader's grip tightened around his lightsaber as he scanned the shadows, seeking the source of the disturbance. His mind raced, calculating possibilities. A survivor of Order 66, an enemy of the Sith? The thought ignited a smoldering anger within him, a reminder of the Jedi he had hunted and destroyed. He moved cautiously, his steps silent on the stone floor. The air grew colder, the darkness more oppressive. The Force swirled around him, a silent storm of potential danger. He reached out with his senses, probing the shadows for the presence he had felt. It was close, watching, waiting. "Show yourself," Vader commanded, his voice a low, resonant threat that echoed through the chamber. "You cannot hide from me." The silence that followed was thick with anticipation. Then from the shadows, a figure emerged, cloaked in darkness. The stranger moved with the grace of a seasoned warrior, his face obscured by a hood. A lightsaber ignited, its blade casting a dark orange light that contrasted sharply with Vader's crimson. The man did not speak, but the tension in the air was thick. Vader could feel the strength of his connection to the Force, a power that rivaled his own. This was no ordinary opponent. The two stared each other down, the moment stretched to a breaking point. Vader's mind raced, trying to discern the identity of this mysterious foe. The Force swirled with possibilities, each more dangerous than the last. Without warning, the figure lunged, his lightsaber cutting through the air with deadly precision. Vader parried the strike, their blades clashing in a shower of sparks. The duel began in earnest, each combatant testing the other's strength and skill. As they fought, the chamber seemed to close in around them, the darkness alive with the echoes of their battle. Vader's fury burned hotter with each clash of blades, his focus unyielding. Yet, despite his power, the stranger matched him blow for blow, his movements fluid and precise. Vader's anger grew, his strikes becoming more aggressive. "Who are you?" he demanded, his voice a growl of frustration and rage. The figure remained silent, his eyes hidden in the shadow of his hood. He pressed his attack, forcing Vader back, his determination unwavering. The duel raged on, the temple trembling with the force of their blows. Vader could feel the presence of the artifact, its dark energy pulsing in the chamber. He knew he could not afford to be distracted, but the mystery of his opponent gnawed at him, driving him to greater heights of fury and power. The icy wind of Mygeeto howled as the cloaked figure stood at the entrance of the ancient Sith temple, watching the imposing figure of Darth Vader disappear into its dark maw. A second, small girl stood beside him, their breath misting in the cold air. The man hesitated only for a moment before signaling the other to follow. Together they stepped into the darkness, their movements silent and purposeful. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of decay and the echoes of long-forgotten horrors. The cloaked figures moved cautiously, their senses heightened, attuned to the dark presence that permeated the temple. They had arrived moments after Vader, but already the signs of the Sith Lord's passage were evident. Poisoned darts lay scattered on the floor, and the walls bore the marks of a recent battle with some ancient trap. The figures stepped carefully, avoiding the pressure plates that had triggered the deadly barrage. Deeper into the temple, the narrow corridor revealed another sign of Vader's strength. The jagged spikes that had threatened to crush the life from any intruder were bent and broken, held at bay by sheer force of will. They moved through the narrow gap, their breaths synchronized in the cold air. The sensation of foreboding grew stronger with each step, the dark side pulsing around them. The corridor opened into a vast chamber, and they paused at the threshold, their eyes adjusting to the dim light. They saw Vader ahead, his crimson lightsaber casting an eerie glow. The Sith Lord stood before a pedestal, facing a monstrous creature of bone and shadow. They stayed in the shadows, observing as Vader engaged the beast with ruthless precision. The clash of lightsaber against claw reverberated through the chamber, a symphony of destruction. The cloaked figures watched, their own lightsabers held ready, but unignited. They could feel the dark energy of the artifact, its power a malevolent presence that seemed to pulse in time with the creature's attacks. The force swirled around them, a tempest of light and darkness. Vader's movements were a blur, his strikes fueled by anger and the dark side. The creature was strong, but Vader's mastery was greater. With a final decisive stroke, the Sith Lord severed the beast's head, and it collapsed into a heap of dust and bone. The chamber fell silent, save for the hum of Vader's lightsaber. The man took a deep breath, steeling himself for what was to come. He had followed Vader here for a reason, drawn by the same dark presence that now thrummed in the artifact. He motioned for the girl to remain hidden, then stepped forward, his movements deliberate and silent, until he was within sight of the Sith Lord. Vader's grip tightened around his lightsaber as he scanned the shadows, seeking the source of the disturbance. The man knew the moment had come. He ignited his lightsaber, the dark orange blade casting an ominous glow that contrasted sharply with Vader's crimson. The two combatants faced each other, the air thick with tension. The young girl watched from the shadows, her eyes wide with a mix of awe and fear. She clutched her own lightsaber, ready to intervene if necessary, but knowing that her time to act had not yet come. The fierce clash of lightsabers paused, leaving an electric tension in the air. The dark corridors of the ancient temple seemed to hold their breath, the walls echoing the recent sounds of battle. Red and dark orange light bathed the scene, casting sinister shadows across the faces of the combatants. Darth Vader stood motionless, his crimson blade humming with restrained power. Opposite him, the cloaked man held his lightsaber at the ready, the fiery dark orange blade a stark contrast to the cold, dark surroundings. The two warriors eyed each other, their breaths coming in sharp, deliberate bursts. "You fight well," Vader admitted, his mechanical voice cutting through the silence like a blade. "But you are misguided. You cling to the false hope of balance, a dream that will never be realized." The cloaked figure's eyes narrowed, his grip on his lightsaber tightening. "And you, Vader, are a slave to the very power you wield, the Emperor's puppet, shackled by your own fear and anger." Vader's mask tilted slightly, the red lenses reflecting the determined gaze of his opponent. "Fear and anger give me strength," he replied. "They are the fuel that powers my will, and they will be the tools of your destruction." The cloaked figure took a step forward, his blade crackling with energy. "You speak of strength, yet you fear the very idea of true freedom. You fear a world where the dark and the light can coexist. You fear the balance that I seek." "Balance is a delusion," Vader growled. "There is only the dark side. It is the true nature of the Force, and it is through its power that I will bring order to the galaxy." The cloaked figure laughed, a harsh, bitter sound that echoed off the stone walls. "Order? You bring only chaos and death, Vader. The galaxy trembles under the weight of your tyranny. You claim to bring peace, but all you offer is suffering." Vader's grip tightened on his lightsaber, the blade humming louder. "You know nothing of the true nature of peace. Peace can only be achieved through absolute control, through the obliteration of all who oppose us." The cloaked man extended his senses through the Force, probing Vader's mind with a sudden, intense focus. He sought the truth behind the mask, the man behind the machine. Vader's defenses were formidable, but the cloaked figure's will was unyielding. Images flashed before his eyes, each one a fragment of Vader's tormented past. He saw a young Jedi, filled with hope and promise, fighting valiantly alongside his comrades. The image shifted to the betrayal of Mace Windu, the desperate clash of lightsabers, and the moment Anakin Skywalker fell to the dark side. The vision twisted, revealing Anakin's fury as he choked Padme Amidala, his beloved, in a fit of blind rage. Her eyes, filled with betrayal and sorrow, haunted the cloaked figure as he delved deeper. The final vision was of a duel on a volcanic planet, Anakin and Obi-Wan Kenobi locked in a deadly dance of fire and fate. The agony of their clash, the heartbreak of their final confrontation, seared into the figure's mind. He stumbled back, the weight of the revelations nearly overwhelming. The truth was a bitter shock. Darth Vader was Anakin Skywalker, the hero turned monster, the fallen Jedi consumed by darkness. The conflict within Vader was palpable, a storm of guilt, rage, and sorrow that fueled his relentless power. "And what of your former self?" the man challenged, his voice laced with shock and disgust. "What of Anakin Skywalker, the Jedi who sought to protect the innocent? Does he no longer exist, buried beneath that armor and hate?" A flicker of something flashed behind Vader's mask, but it was quickly replaced by cold resolve. Anakin Skywalker is dead. He was weak, a slave to the lies of the Jedi. I am Darth Vader, and I have embraced the true path of the Force. The man's gaze was unwavering. "You can try to bury your past, Vader, but it will always be a part of you. No matter how deep you delve into the dark, the light you once knew will haunt you." "Why did you turn from the light?" Vader's voice dripping with both curiosity and contempt. "Why embrace the dark side yet despise those who wield it?" The Dark Jedi took a step forward, his dark orange blade humming with restrained energy. "You misunderstand, Vader. The Jedi suppressed emotions, denied what makes us living beings. They preached peace, but fought wars. They were hypocrites, blinded by their own dogma. And the Sith are no better. You wield your fear and anger like a weapon. Both extremes, no better than the other." Vader's lightsaber flared, his rage igniting. "You dare lecture me? You who have fallen to the same darkness you claim to master." "There is strength in balance, Vader, in embracing the whole of the Force. Your obsession with power has blinded you to its true nature. Anakin Skywalker once understood that." Vader's roar echoed through the chamber, his rage exploding in a flurry of strikes. The Dark Jedi met him blow for blow, their lightsabers clashing with a deafening crescendo. The Force crackled around them, a storm of light and dark, conviction and fury. "You cannot win, Vader," the Dark Jedi said through gritted teeth, deflecting a powerful blow. "Your power is built on lies and fear. It will crumble, and you with it. E.D." Vader responded with a surge of dark side energy, driving his opponent back. "I am the darkness," he declared, "and you will fall into its depths." The battle raged on, a symphony of light and darkness, of conviction and defiance. In the heart of the ancient temple, amidst the ruins and shadows, the true nature of their conflict was laid bare. It was a struggle not just for power, but for the Force's soul. From the shadows, the young girl watched, her own lightsaber ready to ignite, her determination mirroring her mentor's, ready to step from the shadows when the time was right. The ancient temple seemed to tremble with each blow, the very walls reverberating with the intensity of their struggle. Darth Vader's power was a storm, relentless and overwhelming. But the Dark Jedi matched him strike for strike, his determination unwavering. Vader's strikes were brutal and precise, his mastery of the dark side evident in every movement. The air crackled with energy as he unleashed a torrent of Force lightning, which the Dark Jedi deflected with a swift motion of his blade. The lightning scorched the walls, sending sparks flying into the darkness. The Dark Jedi retaliated with a powerful Force push, sending Vader staggering back. Seizing the moment, he advanced, his dark orange blade slicing through the air with deadly precision. Vader parried each strike, the red and orange lightsabers casting an eerie glow on their faces. "You are strong," Vader growled, his voice a deep rumble, "but you cannot defeat me." The Dark Jedi's response was a silent, determined advance. He drew on the Force, his movements a blur as he struck Vader with renewed ferocity. Their blades locked, and Vader pushed forward, his strength overpowering. With a surge of dark side energy, Vader unleashed a devastating blast, sending the Dark Jedi crashing into a stone pillar. The temple shook, debris falling from the ceiling as the ancient structure groaned under the strain. Vader advanced, his crimson blade humming with lethal intent. The Dark Jedi struggled to his feet, his gaze defiant. He called upon the Force, summoning all his strength for one final attack. With a roar, he charged at Vader, their blades clashing in a blinding explosion of light. But Vader was ready. He sidestepped the attack and struck with brutal efficiency, his lightsaber cutting through the Dark Jedi's defenses. His lightsaber clattered to the ground as Vader disarmed his opponent, his crimson blade poised at the man's throat. "You have fought well," Vader said, his voice a cold, mechanical hiss. "Your power is impressive. Join me. Become my Grand Inquisitor, and together we will hunt down the remnants of the Jedi. Your skills would be invaluable." He glared at Vader, his breath coming in ragged gasps. "I will never serve you," he spat. "You are a slave to the darkness, a pawn of the Emperor. I seek true balance, not tyranny." Vader's eyes narrowed behind his mask, and his grip tightened on his lightsaber. "You are a fool," he growled. "You could have had power, but instead you choose death." With a